Hey boys and girls, welcome back to Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch. In the last episode, we finished up all the post-game side quests, leaving none left. The only two technically left are the conductor and Horus himself. But Horus's really isn't a side quest, and neither is the conductor, so I don't really count them as a side quest mission, even though they technically are errand board missions in a way. But other than that, let's continue. So, let's see how Horus is doing. Oh yeah, I forgot you had to actually use Spirit Medium on him. So, with the one Spirit Medium, let's see what Horus has to tell us.
Oliver, there's something I need to tell you.
What is it, Horus?
I must tell you about Nausicaa and Cassiopeia, and about myself. Before you attempt to save Cassiopeia, you deserve to know the truth. It may take some time, but I hope you can spare some time to listen to what I have to say.
Great-Grand Sage. A sagely looking ghost has been waiting at Eramamore. It seems he has something important to say. Listen to what Horus has to say. Yes. Okay, with that, chapter, or technically, why'd I almost say chapter? But mission number 136 has now been accepted. And we only have, like, a couple left, because the conductor has, like, 3, I think, or I think every mission he gives you counts as 1. I think it's, like, 6 or 7, but honestly, it's just one big mission, honestly. But he has a bunch of story connected to it as well, which is pretty cool. But let's do this.
Thank you, Oliver. Our story begins here long ago, where the kingdom of Nausicaa once flourished. Though it may appear bleak and barren now, in those days it was a mighty empire that combined mighty magic with advanced technology. It was a prosperous realm, where poverty and pestilence were all but unknown, and its people enjoyed a life of peace and plenty. But man was never wont to...
What? Man never wont to count his blessings? That is a really weird way to say it, but okay.
But man was never wont to count his blessings, and greed soon reared its ugly head. In spite of all they had, the populace demanded more. Friends turned upon one another, familiars were torn apart, and each citizen strove to better his own lot and outdo his neighbor.
Sounds like a recipe for a right old masnut.
And indeed it was. Till it led to a series of conflicts that would span centuries, the Wizard Wars. But the course of history was changed with the arrival of a single wizard.
Wow, one wizard made the big difference. That big of a difference? Yeah, indeed, apparently.
Indeed. This wizard wielded not one, but 2 wands. His mastery of magic, one unparalleled, and he soon turned the tide of the world. Through his power, the bitter conflict that many thought would never end was brought to a conclusion in one space, in the mere days.
Clanky sounds like someone you'd want to have on your side in the fight.
Indeed he was, Fairy. He was landed as a hero by all the peoples of the world. His reward was a crown of Nausicaa.
Oh, so that would make the Wizard King then. Huh, that's kinda cool. Oh, he literally just answered it.
Thus did he become the Wizard King.
So Cassiopeia's father then. Okay. The Wizard King, Cassiopeia's father.
The very same. Now shortly after the peace returned to the world, the Wizard King hid one of his wands in the distant land of Autumnia. He sealed it away, and that it might never be used for evil. Which brings me to my latest puzzle. It has been some time since I last posed to you a question, has it not?
I guess it has.
Huh. Excellent. My question what was the name of the wand that the Wizard King sealed away? I believe that you will know it all well. Speak to me again when you have your answer.
And with that, we do have our answer, so let's do this.
So, what is your answer, Oliver? What was the name of that wand?
And that would be Mornstar, because we went all the way back to the distant past of Autumnia, and if we didn't even know this answer, we do not deserve to be part of the post-game, let's be honest. So, Mornstar is my answer.
Indeed it was, the very wand that you carry with you now. I wonder how the valley was, where it was sealed fares. In those days, it was filled with the most beautiful flowers. Let us continue our tale there. I will be waiting for you, Oliver. Come and find me there.
And with that, I'll see you all where we first fought Alakazabra, or however you say that, or Candelacabra, or however you said his name, the big old candle boss that we originally got Mornstar from. So with that, I'll see you guys very shortly. Okay, now that we're on top of the Tombstone Trail, let's see what Horus has to say now. Because in the last one, he was talking about the Wizard King and the Wizard Wars. So honestly, I'm kind of wanting to hear what he's going to talk about next. So let's do this.
Thank you for coming, Oliver. The valley has changed so much. It was once a place of beauty, awash with flowers of every color. No matter what is done. Now let me continue my tale. The Wizard King ascended the throne in one great renown as a just ruler, treating all his subjects equally be they human or otherwise. Then they, in turn, repaid him by rallying around their new monarch, and together they rebuilt the ruined realm more swiftly than any had thought possible. So he got all the BCs pulling their weight too, did he? I never knew that one. Nice.
Nice indeed.
Indeed, the Wizard King truly was a man like no other. It was then, with the kingdom all rebuilt, that he chose 3 servants from among his subjects, a swashbuckling sea pirate to represent the race of men.
So it had to be one of Kublai Khan's original, ancestors then. That's kind of cool. I wonder which one. Maybe even the 3rd. That'd be kind of cool. But let's see here.
A great wolf to represent the animals, Cerberus, and a serpent mold to represent the creatures.
And that would be Apep. That's pretty cool. I didn't know Apep. Oh, no, wait. Oh, no. It's the 3 that gave us our stones. Okay. Then it's not Kublai. It's, Captain, Skull, or Crossbones, Cerberus, and Apep. I should have thought of that. I thought swashbuckling pirate, and I'm so used to only seeing Kublai. I completely forgot that we fought a boss that was a literal skull pirate, which is pretty cool, but I actually completely forgot about Captain Crossbones for a second there. Yeah, that's definitely the 3 for the stones that we got from Mornstar then. 100%.
Each was wholly devoted to his master, and did all that the Wizard King had asked. But one of the 3, the Serpent Mold, was the wisest, and the most committed to his master's cause. He was known as the King of Cobras, and what a mind he had. To think of how he was then. This seems as good of a time as any for your next question. You have encountered these 3 servants on your travels, but you can recall the name of the mighty snake you faced. I am sure listening to me will have served to jog your memory. Speak to me again when you have your answer.
And that would be Apep 100%.
Do you have your answer, Oliver?
And I do. And Apep is with 2 A's. I actually misspelled one of my familiars that was actually supposed to be a reference completely to Apep. And I actually completely forgot that it was actually double A and not A-E-P-E-P. And I actually got that. Need to add the P first. And there we go.
That is correct. Though the 3 servants achieved so much, the reward was to be chased without dignity from the kingdom they had helped to build. But perhaps that is a tale for another day. Yes, we will continue our tale in the very ruins where you faced Apep. I will now tell you how the Wizard King's 3 most loyal servants were driven to the path of evil. Until then, Oliver.
Wait, oh yeah, because Cerberus was still perfectly fine when he spin up the Stone of Wisdom, oh no, not Stone of Wisdom. Was it Courage? I think it was Power, Courage, and Wisdom, if I remember correctly. But with that, I'll see you all in the Temple of not Temple of Trials, the Vault of Tears. So with that, I'll see you where we first fought Apep. So, be ready, boys and girls. Okay, now that we're inside the Vault of Tears, let's see what Horus has to say now. Because apparently now he's going to tell us how all the original people that had the Mornstar stones, how they ended up going evil. Which is actually pretty interesting, so let's see what Horus has to say about that.
Thank you for coming, Oliver. Shall we continue our tale? I said I would tell you about the 3 creepers, how the 3 keepers were driven from the kingdom, and how they became evil. Below the king and the head of Nausicaan government sat in the Council of 12, a group of lords known as the Zodiacs. They were responsible for the day-to-day running of the kingdom, and were supposed to be the ruler's closest advisors. But the Wizard King's rise to prominence was a source of consternation for the council, who feared his great power and the loyalty he commanded amongst the keepers. And so, as soon as Nausicaa was rebuilt and stability restored, the Zodiacs conspired to assassinate him, and the conspiracy was a success. That's horrible. With the Wizard King eliminated, the council had completed control of the kingdom. The king's infant heir, Queen Cassiopeia, became no more than a puppet. To compound their villainy, the council successfully implicated the keepers in the assassination, and they were banished from the Nausicaa. Apep lost all faith in humanity, and soon power of the stone in his possession began to corrupt him, transforming him at last into the servant of evil. Indeed, it was he who reduced the stone, once great city, to ruins, and you see now before you. That is pretty weird. So he was the one that destroyed this place entirely then. That's kinda cool to know.
That's bad like, but you've got to feel sorry for, ain't it? Being framed for murdering your mate would be enough to make anyone not go off the rails.
Perhaps, but Apep possessed great wisdom. None could have predicted that he would suffer such a spectacular fall from grace. Speaking of prediction, yes, open the book.
You mean the Wizard's Companion?
I do. As you may or may not know, its authors were able to see into the future. Turn to the final page. A prophecy is written there. A prophecy of what would become of a certain individual. That person's name, too, is hidden there. Can you discover their identity? This puzzle is much like your life. You must start at the bottom and work your way to the top, not forgetting to begin at the beginning, of course. The solution is not a simple one, but a worthy wizard will see to the heart of the problem.
And with that, we're just going to give you the answer. The answer is P, and it's only going to tell you about how P became evil, basically. So honestly, it's just easier to just put this in, and then looking through the Wizard's Companion to try and find it, because half of these puzzles are really hard to find if you don't know the exact location to look, honestly. So I'm just going to save everyone the problem of trying to look for it, and just tell you what the answer is, because honestly, that's the easiest way to find it. But let's do this.
Do you have the answer, Oliver?
I do, and the answer is, in fact, the name of the actual queen, and the original name for her, because Cassiopeia, although is her birth name, her real name that she went by for the longest time is actually P. So, with that, we have the answer.
That is correct. Perhaps one day the people of this world will see that the White Witch had nothing but the best intentions. But first, she must make amends for all that she did. Despair is no excuse.
I guess you're right.
I remember when she was a kind little girl who loved flowers above all else. But that is a story for another time. If you are interested, I plan to visit a cave that lets one see into the past. I wish to see the old Cassiopeia once more. There's a cave that lets you see into the past.
Oh wait, what? Wait, I didn't expect Oliver to say that. Well, yeah, there is. And that's the Glittering Grotto. We saw the king, the original Emperor of Hamlin and Alicia when she was still alive inside the Glittering Grotto, an old memory of them. And I'm surprised Oliver even asked that question, because he should know that, honestly. But with that, there is in fact a place where you can see the memories of old people and look into the distant past. Kind of like Breach Time, but not Breach Time in a way. So basically is how I'm trying to portray it. But let's do this.
You have not heard of it. I'm certain that it is mentioned in that book of yours. When you have discovered its location, come and gaze into the past with me. Until then, Oliver.
And with that, I'll see you all in the Glittering Grotto, because we don't even need to look in the book for that one. We know that just from the story itself, so with that, I'll see you all in the end of the Glittering Grotto, so BRB, boys and girls. Okay, now that we're inside the Glittering Grotto, we're actually not at the very end of the dungeon. For some reason, it's actually in the very same spot where we ended up seeing the original Emperor and Alicia, which is really cool. So, with that, let's use Spirit Medium and see what Horace has to say for his next little bit of dialogue.
I've been waiting for you, Oliver. Shall we continue our tale? Flowers always had a special significance for people of the Kingdom of Nausicaa. They were seen as sacred symbols of peace and hope.
Oh, so that's why all the memories of Cassiopeia, although she really loved flowers, and we found that out, but that's actually pretty cool that that is actually a symbol of hope as well, which actually ends up being what it is in the end, which is actually kind of cool. Queen Cassiopeia loved nothing in the world more than flowers, and her every free moment was spent tending to her garden. Oh, she had a garden. That's actually pretty cool. And like, looking at the one that, that's completely broken-hearted and shattered, it's actually really hard to see her liking flowers, which is kind of a funny thing to think of. But when we see her as her normal self, it honestly is, like, pretty cool that we actually can see her for who she really is, because she completely changes back to who she was, which is really cool. But, let's continue. Her castle was always bursting with color, with beautiful bright flowers of every imaginable hue. Cassiopeia grew to be a splendid, spirited young woman, everything her father would have wished for, and all that I had always hoped she would become. Huh, so you knew Queen Cassiopeia when she was growing up? I did. I knew from her, from when she was a mere babe in arms. But I digress. This talk of flowers and gardens, it reminds me, you have a wand made from an old stick, do you not? Oh, you mean the wand P gave me? That wand was a gift from the Wizard King, and I to young Cassiopeia. Really, you say? It was? Jeepers. On it we engraved our most deeply wished wish. For the princess's future. Ah, it was so long ago. I wish to hear those words again. Tell me, Oliver, what does it say? And the answer is actually bring hope, because the fact that it has Nazakanen on it, and I do not feel like deciphering it. I'm just going to tell you the answer. It literally says bring hope, and I'm going to tell you this now. Me deciphering the cipher in this game is not a fun thing to watch through. I'm going to be honest. This is what you have to decipher, and this would take me a couple seconds to write it down, and you guys would obviously get cut to when I actually did figure it out anyway, so having the answer for you guys just makes sense. So, with that, let's continue. Do you have the answer, Oliver? And the answer is indeed bring hope. And also, if you're wondering where our final location is going to be, it's actually going to be inside the Ivory Tower. I believe where we officially met, Cassiopeia face-to-face, if I remember correctly. But let's do this. Bring hope is our answer. So 1, 2, 3, and we are done. That is correct. Our most deeply held desire was for the people of Nausicaa should never lose hope, the hope of a brighter tomorrow. But what befell the kingdom and the realm after the Wizard King's untimely demise, but paid to any such wishes? The Council of 12 devoted themselves solely to personal gain, and thought nothing of the plight of the people. If only I had done more. What do you mean, Horace? I said that I would tell you the truth, did I not? There is something I must confess to you, something I did, an act for which I can never forgive myself. Come to the Ivory Tower, to the chamber where the council sat. There I shall tell you everything. Until then, Oliver. And with that, I'll see you at the very end of the Ivory Tower, and our final cut for the episode, since today's episode is only going to be about Horace. I know it's a shorter episode, but honestly, his story should all be in one episode, since it is very important to the story, because he is actually if I remember, he's a catalyst for the story, and he's actually very important. So, with that, I'll see you all in the Ivory Tower, and it's honestly going to take me a while to get there, and to actually get to his location, so there's going to be a cut. If it wasn't a far location to get to, there wouldn't be cuts, but he's always really deep in the dungeon, so honestly, it just makes it easier to get there via cuts and save you guys some time, because honestly, watching me run through a dungeon that I've already completed probably wouldn't be fun to watch the second time round, to be honest. So with that, I'll see you all in the Ivory Tower, so BRB, boys and girls. Okay, and now inside the Ivory Tower, we get to finally learn the truth about Horace, because apparently he's been hiding something from us, apparently based on his last conversation. So let's see what he's got for us. I've been waiting for you, Oliver. Shall we continue our tale? Long before I ever became known as the Sage of Ages, I fought in the Wizard Wars alongside my teacher, the Wizard King. I often think of those days, how long it has been since I was last here, I wonder.
Blimey, Horace. You're saying you've been to this gap before, like? Indeed I have. In the years after the Wizard Wars, I have occupied the 10th seat of the council, taking the zodiacal name of Gallus. Oh, so that's why the Wizard King was pretending to be Gallus when he was the secondary version of the Zodiarchs, the fake ones that were part of Cassiopeia's mind. That's actually pretty smart. Huh, I actually like that. Gallus, but isn't that, him? Ah, yes, the Wizard King's ruse. Even in death, he strove to protect his daughter. That was later, of course, after my seat had become vacant. But we are getting ahead of ourselves. When I sat on the council, to my undying shame, I failed to notice the plotting of my fellow councillors. I who thought myself so wise. They disposed of the Wizard King and his 3 servants. They turned their attention to any who might yet stand in their way. And they considered me an obstacle in their complete domination of the kingdom. Sensing the grave danger I was in, I fled Nausicaa. I intended to bide my time, to rally forces loyal to the crown, and return to exact my revenge on the council. But then, the choice I made was wrong. I should have remained at the Queen's side. But you couldn't, could you? Those rotters in the council were gunning you for you, man. It is a risk that I should have taken. By leaving, I sealed the fate of the entire kingdom. Allow me to explain. In addition to my duties as Zodiac, I was charged with educating Queen Cassiopeia in the ways of magic. I took it upon myself to create a compendium of spells and arcane knowledge, which I presented to the young queen. A compendium? You mean like a spellbook? You mean... I rather think you know what I mean. But allow me to answer your question. For one old time's sake, what was the name of that book? And we already know that, because he was the one that made it. And that is indeed the first thing he helped us out with, and that was the Wizard's Companion. And I believe it is specifically with an apostrophe, like the other puzzle he had us do, so let's just make sure to put an S. I do have it written down just to make sure, and it is in fact with an apostrophe. So let's just put an apostrophe in there real quick, and now we just need to put in compendium. How do you spell that? Or no, not compendium. Companion. I thought it was compendium for a second, I don't know why. But companion is the answer, so with 1, 2, 3, and 4, we're done. And that is his final riddle of the game, if I remember correctly. Yes, you are quite right. I wrote the Wizard's Companion to aid Queen Cassiopeia in her magical education, but little did I know that this book would lead directly to the disaster that befell Nausicaa. You can't be flipping serious. How could the Wizard Companion have led to Nausicaa's destruction? What the heck are you on about, one? In my desire to create a tome fit for a queen, I included all the manner of arcane magic, including the forbidden spell. But I failed to include detailed notes on the rights and wrongs of using such potent incantations, and I fled the kingdom before I could teach Queen Cassiopeia of the perils of the forbidden spell. And that would be the mana that she ended up casting, not knowing what the true intentions of what that spell actually does, and what it actually entails about its meaning. But let's do this. I was so busy brooding on the mana of revenge I would exact on the council that I failed in my duty of care to the queen. That is how she arrived at her fateful decision. That is why she did not know the true power of the mana. But it is my fault that Nausicaa fell, and the Queen Cassiopeia was transformed into the White Witch. How could I ever make amends for what I did? It was unforgivable. Reduced to a spirit doomed to roam the world for all eternity, how could I ever save the poor girl from her fate? That is why I must humbly ask you to right my wrongs, to save the Queen. You are the only one who can, Oliver. Don't worry, Horace. We'll save Queen Cassiopeia. We'll save the whole world. You'll see. You have my thanks. And I have some alchemical formulas for you. Formulae that I neglected to include in the Wizard's Companion. And I pray that they will aid you in your quest.
And you have received new alchemical formulas. Go to the cauldron to try them out. And I believe this actually unlocks the Sky Tree's wand, which is a alchemical formula for the original wand that you get in the original, from the original starting of the game, which is pretty cool. But that's actually really cool to have, honestly. But it's really hard to make, so we more than likely won't have it when we do the final episode, to be completely honest. It's a really hard puzzle. Or not puzzle, but alchemical formula. You have to use the Kaleidostones and those scrolls of truth that I use for the Demon Axe mission. And it's just a waste of time in the end of the day, because you really don't need a weapon that strong to beat the rest of this game, to be honest. So, with that, let's continue. And now for my final contribution to your cause. Please accept this. A Mirror of Truth and 10,000 guilders. And I believe the Mirror of Truth is part of the alchemical formula for the Sky Wand, which is pretty cool. But with that, we are done with our buddy Horace for the final time in this game. He is completely finished. Well, and we're finally saying goodbye to him, since this was his final act. Queen Cassiopeia waits within. I wish you luck, Oliver, the pure-hearted one, the savior of our world. And with that, let's see if he has anything else what he has to say. Nope, that's it. So, with that, we're done with today's episode. I knew it was going to be a shorter one, and honestly, it makes sense because I did say the last episode was about 4 hours of footage, all crammed into one episode, with multiple cuts in between, and I still haven't even edited that episode, so I don't even know how long the episode was. So, yeah. So it makes sense that this one's going to be shorter. Because tomorrow's episode is going to be the Coliseum. That's all going to be one episode. And then the next episode after that is going to be the Conductor. And with that, technically, we're finished with with everything we've done. And that means we can start on the 12 Tales of Wonder. So, with that, thank you all for watching today's episode. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And I'll see you all in the Coliseum episode, also known as the Coliseum series. And we're finally going to be meeting off with our buddy Solomon for the first time since the Temple of Trials. So with that, thank you all for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out. Hey boys and girls, thank you all for watching today's episode. If you liked what you saw today, please leave a like and maybe even subscribe. And hit the bell notification down below. If you guys have any kind of suggestions for games, please put that in the comments down below as well. Thank you all for watching today's episode, and keep being spooky. Peace out, guys.